Okay, so we're probably live on YouTube now. We'll just give it a couple minutes so people can see that we're live. Got the fancy start. We will up there. Yeah, we don't need to see that.
There it is.
Yeah, for those of you here on the Zoom call, there were no volunteers, and then there were like 6. So we'll probably get to 2 of you most likely, and then shall see. So feel free to raise your hand if you feel. I know some were just sort of volunteering to help us out. You really want to go today? So go ahead and raise your hand, those of you in Zoom who really want to work today. And like I said, we'll probably just get to probably 2 or 3. We might, go ahead and raise your hand anyway, because we might be able to just kind of go through things a little bit more quickly. Excellent, okay. Put the link there. I love when it all works.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
All right, it's 101. What do you say? Shall we do it?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Oh, my video's off. Hello, everyone. Welcome to those of you joining us live. Welcome to our fellow Foundation for Facilitating folks who are here with us on Zoom. If you were curious what I'm talking about with that, there's a link on the channel here for those of you watching live. That's the upcoming 8-week program that GP is going to be teaching and I'll be co-teaching on, talking about inner reconciliation, which is what we're here to do today. And what we wanted to give you another chance to see and participate in is to get a chance to go through this process and perhaps more importantly, see it being facilitated with GP and myself working with other people so that you can get a sense of kind of the art form of this and how to better incorporate it for yourself, see how this actually works, see how you can kind of experience the process of actually navigating and talking and feeling and being present with what's going on inside yourself. And what I describe as a slightly more proactive way. And for my background, GP was someone who helped me tremendously, probably 6 or probably more, 7, 8 years ago when we first met. When I was into meditation when I was younger, but really the light bulbs went off for me and things started really getting excited when I realized that there's this middle ground of, yes, you can be meditative and present, but you can actually engage with things. You can actually work with emotions. And that's when I started discovering things like EFT tapping, which is part of inner reconciliation, and that you can actually engage with things as well in this interesting space where you're still being present, you could call it meditative and inquiring, but it's not totally passive. It's like there's stuff going on in my life and I actually want to engage with it and figure out what's going on. So I love it. Happy to be here. And GP, I don't know if you're going to do a meditation today, or if you want to jump right into working with people, but the floor is all yours.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I would open with just a very short meditation. And
awesome.
I was actually looking through all of our videos, and it was 2011. So it's been 10 years. That's when we
great.
did. So I don't know exactly when before that we met, but our first video that we did together, the Balls Project, our project for men, was the first thing we had, the first piece of work we did together. So it's been a while. It's been a decade, my friend.
Amazing.
So yeah, I'd like to just say welcome everyone, and to this demonstration of it. And I don't really like that demonstration. It sounds like, Ginsu knives or something like that. Working with yourself is an art form, right? It simply requires, as Evan was pointing out, that it starts with this place, this kind of this meditative, passive place where you're just kind of being with your own feelings, which is a lot in and of itself, because all of us were taught to resist, and always, to be seeking just a better feeling. I want to feel better. I want to feel better. And I even heard Gabor Mate. Many of you may be familiar with him. He's a very well-known medical doctor who about trauma, and he was quoting somebody else, and he couldn't remember who said it. He said, "This isn't about feeling. This isn't about feeling better. It's about getting better at feeling." The object here is to simply feel what you're feeling without the story, without the narrative. And once you can do that, once you can get to that place and see that there's a clear difference between my ideas about what I'm feeling and what I'm actually feeling, it doesn't stop there. That's the part that we refer to as invite in inner reconciliation. Just the beginning phase where you're just finally stopping the battle with yourself, trying to fix yourself and trying to correct yourself, all the different ways in which we try to avoid feeling. And then when that space opens up, a different kind of inquiry can begin to take place, which is not only highly therapeutic, but highly spiritual and also highly fascinating, to really discover this world that's inside of you that you've been cut off from simply because of the things that happened to us, primarily as children, but for those of you who want to go there, past lives, anything, right? Any kind of residual energy from the past that created in you some kind of constriction or limitation is open once you begin to become harmoniously and lovingly engaged with yourself. So I'm going to start the process right now just by closing your eyes. And we're going to just kind of do some inviting, right? Which is the first phase. Invite, inquire, integrate are the way we break inner reconciliation down. So in this first phase, we're simply going to allow. We're going to simply invite. Now let's start with allowing, because if you've never done this before, you might not be very anxious to allow your feelings or to invite your feelings, right? Invite stuff to come up that you don't want to feel. So let's just start very simply. Your eyes are closed. Just feel your body. That's all you have to do. Just notice the sensations that are your body. And whatever's there, you just say it's okay. Naturally, your inner eye will scan the body. It'll be looking for things, and you'll notice different parts feel different. Your hand feels different from your knee. And when you're feeling it, rather than thinking about it, you can get really in touch with the kinesthetic sense, the kind of the ground of your own feelings, both sensation and emotion. Now, as you're doing that, you may notice that your mind wants to jump in and describe it, give you a name for it, judge it. Right? I don't like this feeling. I wish it wasn't there. And just really notice that these habitual thoughts that come up about the sensations and the sensations are not the same. And that you can put yourself in the middle of them. And if that thought never occurred to you, I don't like this feeling, would there be anything wrong with that feeling? We're simply trying to get direct to the feeling itself without any additional overhead laid on top of it. And if you're having a hard time with this, or you're really distracted, just slow your breath down, make it deeper, which is a very simple and recognized way of bringing attention into the body, that is, into feeling. We have no agenda here. We're not trying to change anything. We're not trying to fix anything. This is just allowing. Just pure inviting. You're letting the feelings be there and not yet engaging with them in any way at all. This is, by the way, essentially meditation, without an agenda or a goal. And just doing that, I want you to notice the difference in the way your body feels. Some parts may specifically kind of flare up a bit. There may be an additional tension somewhere, but overall, notice that your body feels more present. This is natural because when you are simply listening with your attention on the body and not trying to change it, the whole nervous system begins to drop out of its defensiveness. There's nothing for it to defend itself against, so it starts to get a bit calmer. And when that happens, certain parts can become more obvious. So just stay there for just a moment, kind of practicing just putting the attention on the feeling alone without thinking about it. Thinking's there, you don't have to stop it. It's just where your attention is going. And this is a practice. That's why we call it the yoga of allowing, because it is a practice. So now take another deep breath or two. And you can open your eyes when you're ready. And for our practice, or the way we coach others or facilitate others in inner reconciliation, it always starts here. So you have to set the stage so that deeper work can go on. But the deeper work can't go on if you're just in there trying to fix and change and the like. The body will be resistant. Your nervous system won't want to give up its secrets. So, all right.
Very good. So I'm gonna, while I help one or two of our people get on here, if you want to work with the first person, does that work for you?
That's great.
Send the Zoom link to a couple of folks. Okay, Roberto said he would really like to work today. So Roberto, I'll put you up. For those of you here on the Zoom call, it's totally up to you. You don't have to be on video, but we do have to be able to hear you. That's all.
Yes.
So Roberto, you're there. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I don't know if you can see me or not.
No, we can't.
Oh, okay.
We can see your name on the marquee.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm ready to volunteer.
Very good. So what's going on for you?
Well, all feelings lately have been just coming up on the surface, you know, so it's, I feel really worse than even before I went on holidays. It's not really because something happened. For instance, I'm gonna start, as far as I know, I'm gonna go back to work like at the end of the month. As you know, I travel with people, so I'm gonna start a tour of Spain and Portugal, like at the end of the month, and then all of a sudden, I'm scared to death. And also, I'm feeling like I don't have the strength and courage, you know, to take any steps. It's like lack of. It's like my energy is what do you call it? Stagnant, you know, like completely still. And more than anything, it's still the. Well, I told you in our private session. I told you what happened with the money that I have that I used to have in the stock market, that I left the market last November, And well, as you know, the market is going up over the roof, and it's like I'm suffering the what is known as the FOMO, the fear of missing out. And I mean, I just left like 25% of my savings over there, so the other ones are in a savings account. So I'm not losing, but I'm not making any money as much as I used to for the last 25 years. And this is coming back to me, in my brain, even at night. I fall asleep like completely crash, like midnight, and then around 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, around that time, I wake up all of a sudden, like I wasn't sleeping. My brain is starting to think about the all this kind of stuff. The money, the fear that I have to face whatever comes. Because now that I'm not making that much money, maybe I don't know what's gonna. I mean, I have enough money to survive. That's not a problem. And to live pretty well, but well, it's something that it's kind of forcing me to do something that I don't even know what it is. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to make a mistake, going back to the market, if I'm going to lose my money. I mean, I don't have a clue. And the worst thing is that this is becoming terrifying for me. I'm scared to death.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I want you to just put your attention in your body right now. Because clearly your mind has been trained to be constantly considering the things that could go wrong. And this is common. This is kind of the nature of our culture, even where you live in Spain and here in the US and really all over the West. This is how we've been taught to think. Always consider what can go wrong. And of course, there can always be something to go wrong, right? And we cannot possibly control everything. So it becomes a matter of where the attention goes and how seriously we take the habits of the mind and the way it thinks. So right now, are you feeling that intensity of fear right this moment, and concern and worry about the future?
Well, I am, but it's not as strong as 10 minutes ago.
Right. Okay. So, right. Well, we've done a body awareness exercise in between, so that will have an impact. So let's just put the attention in the body and that pure sensation of fear, and just feel it. And notice there's really a very strong impulse to get away from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel that, your mind starts going, what am I going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
The fear seems really real. It seems almost imminent. It feels as if it's imminent, right? It's like it's going to happen today.
Correct.
Yeah. But is it happening today?
You mean the outcome, so to speak?
Yeah.
No, it's not happening.
Okay, good. So let's keep our attention right with here, right now. Okay. And at least balance our plans for the future with our current state right now. It's right this moment, everything is okay. And just let that sink in. Let your nervous system feel that right this second, everything's okay. It's true. Tomorrow, things could go to hell in a handbasket. We don't have to ignore that, but let's just be present with right here and right now. And is there some space opening up inside?
Well, I have some pressure on my neck and my chest.
Okay. Very good. So put your attention now there on the neck and on the chest, that feeling of pressure. And just let it be there. See if you can drop all of your desire to get rid of that feeling. Just for now. You can pick it up later. It's not like we're going to put you in danger and make you foolhardy. Now see if you can just kind of post inside this question. What are you protecting me from? What is it that you're really protecting me from? And put aside all the ideas you have about what you think it might be, right? And let's just see what the body is afraid of. Without the input from, we know what your mind is afraid of. We know the scenarios, right? Let's see if there's something that your body feels threatened by. And just notice if there's any, it may come as words, it may come as an image in the mind. It also may just come as a feeling, like the feeling in your throat, in your chest, or some other part of your body. We're learning to feel, learning to get better at feeling. So tell me what's happening.
Well, somehow I feel like I would like to breathe deeply, but my chest is compressed.
Okay.
So it's like I cannot inflate my my lungs.
Okay. Are you pulling in your stomach?
Uh-huh.
Okay. See if you can let your breath drop down into your abdomen. Kind of more bringing your attention to the center. Does that help?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what happens is that when there's a fear there, the breath gets shorter, the stomach contracts, and we try to tend to pull the air in our chest, right? So all I have to do is just drop the attention down. Because it's actually, the breathing actually comes from there. And what happens to that tension in your chest when you do that?
It changed the side. It used to be the left side. Now it's the right side.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Good. And just stay with it. Really, in your heart, really want to know what it is that your nervous system is so afraid of, what it's protecting you from. Bearing in mind, it may have nothing to do with your current circumstances. It have nothing to do with the money you lost. It may have nothing to do with going back to the job. It operates on a completely different level and senses things that consciously we don't. So we're engaging in a different way altogether. So just notice what's happening in your body as you do that.
It's going up to my my throat.
Yeah, good. Good.
Somehow it's if I don't have the money, if I make something silly, like investing and making another mistake and losing the money, or I will not be able to buy a home. I will I will not be accepted by people, and I will not be loved
Mhm.
by people because they will consider myself stupid because of what I did.
Okay. So I can't be loved. I won't be lovable. Does that ring true?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I have to earn some love. So if you can remember the first time you felt that way, first time when love became something that had to be earned. Again, feel into your body. Don't try to make this a memory search because the mind can easily distort things. Just put that into your body. That feeling, that completely natural and necessary desire to be loved.
I'm feeling like a rock on my shoulders.
Yeah. Okay. Keep breathing. Keep bringing your attention down to the center of you. Right? Let that, and just say yes to whatever that energy is in your shoulders. The very fact that it's moving around is actually quite significant. This is one of the ways in which it communicates. We're learning real body language. But keep wanting to know. Keep wanting to know this idea of having to earn love. Somehow you're not inherently lovable. Does that feel true?
It does.
Yeah. So just kind of say that to yourself. I'm not lovable. I have to earn it.
I'm not lovable. I have to earn it.
Just notice the effect that has in your body. It's frightening, isn't it? To not just be
It's
lovable.
fucking Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, just be with this for a moment. Yeah. We can spend our entire lives trying to be lovable, trying to earn love. I know I sure did. Go ahead and just rub your collarbone point, Roberto, like I showed you
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
one of the classes. Yeah,
Yeah.
just rub it. Yeah. And those of you who have never seen this before, you can see what I'm doing. Just put a hand on, like a finger on your collarbone, and let the fingers fall underneath into that soft area, and just massage it. You know, the body has been holding this your whole life. Something happened early on, maybe a single traumatic moment, or maybe a whole bunch of them, where this message got received. I'm not lovable unless I earn it. And just take that in. And I simply want you to ask again. We're asking this energy of the body, which is way more than we think it is. Is it really true I'm not lovable? Or did I just learn that? What if it's not true? If it is true, I totally accept it. What if it's not? What if it's just the way I was trained to be? What's happening in your body?
It's going up on the back of my from the shoulders to my head, on the back.
Okay. Just keep
And
rubbing
it's,
that
and
spot.
I'm tearing and crying.
Yeah. Does it feel kind of like a grief crying? Sadness?
It's all of it. It's even guilt, because
Guilt?
because I didn't know what's going on. I didn't know what's going to happen in 50 years time.
Yeah. Feels like it's all your fault, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what happens to all of us. A little child inevitably feels that if anything is wrong, it's their fault.
The collarbone is very painful when I press it.
Ah, really? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it painful or just like it's sore?
No. I mean, it's painful when I press it with the tip of my fingers. It hurts.
Okay. Well, then, back off a little bit and just rub it. Or switch hands and do the other side. And see if that.
Yeah, the other side feels better.
Okay. Ooh, stuck energy. Yeah. It's really surrounded itself around your throat and your shoulders and the like. I can almost feel it. But I just want to keep your attention now on that simple idea. I'm not lovable. I'm not innately lovable. To prove myself, I have to earn it. This is a very fundamental assumption that your body has been carrying for most of your life, trying to protect you from that. I just want you to consider, what if it's not true? What if in fact you are lovable? Just holding that thought for a second, what happens in your body?
The energy, all the something got stuck on my lower neck, on the back, very stuck.
Yeah. So keep posing that question. Again, we're not trying to force an answer, right? It's obvious that your nervous system believes it's true, that you're not. And because that's so painful, it has been trying to compensate ever since. Dutifully, loyally. You stop rubbing it for a second and just take a nice deep breath. Breathing from your abdomen. We're not trying to assert anything here. Right? We're inquiring. Does that ring true to you, that your whole body is operating under the assumption that you are not lovable and need to prove it?
It is very clear to me. Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, is there any kind of sense anywhere in your body or even in your mind that might not be true?
Not really.
Not really. Okay. Just take that in for a second. What if it isn't true? And just see what your body does with that. Would it be okay if it wasn't true? Would you allow it if it wasn't true? If it really wasn't true, not making it up, not trying to force it, not trying to believe something, but if it really wasn't true, would that be all right? Hard to accept, for sure.
It's coming out of my fingers. I can feel the energy in my fingers.
Okay, so tap on your collarbone point again. Then, would. I'm not going to do a whole tapping thing right now. Keep breathing. Just keep posting the question. Remember, we're not fighting it. We're not trying to make it accept it. That's a waste of time. We're just asking if this assumption you've lived your entire life under is actually true. What if it isn't? Again, not our minds, but the body, because your body has organized itself around this. Every thought, every feeling, every action has been in line with this assumption. And what if, just what if it isn't true? Would that be okay? Roberto was in fact lovable. Would that be all right? Again, you don't even have to answer. The question alone is enough. Because your whole nervous system has never been asked that question. It just assumed. And from that position, it set out to protect you. What if it doesn't have to protect you from that anymore? So I'm just going to let you sit with that for a bit, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Tap for a little bit, then just stop tapping and breathe. But I want you to diligently stay with that question. This sense of not being lovable runs really deep in you. Actually, it runs deep in everybody. It runs deep in our entire culture. But it's earned. What if it isn't? Just want you to let yourself be willing to be with that question. Not forcing it, not assuming an answer, just asking. This is inquiry. That's all. So I'm just going to let it go with you for now. Maybe towards the end, maybe I can check in with you and see what's happening. Okay?
Thank you.
Oh, Roberta, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for volunteering that. Okay, Nazrin, you are up. If you're still okay with that, I'll bring you up in a second. Like I said, video is totally optional, and you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
How can we help you today?
I had a question, but today when I woke up, I had this resistance of not want to do anything.
Okay.
I felt I don't want to go to my studio. Everything felt meaningless. And but I had resistance to just stop and not do anything, even though I didn't do anything.
Interesting how that works, right?
Yeah.
So is the resistance equal to going into the studio and to doing nothing, or do they have different qualities?
They're different.
Okay.
I can help you with one thing. I know that I have a judgmental voice or bully voice. So if I feel I don't want to do anything, my judgmental voice comes and say, you can't just take this day off.
Got it.
Or if I feel like I feel not good enough in this moment, my bully voice come and say, that's enough. How many times you want to work in this belief?
Okay. So let's take a look at that voice and just notice the label of the bully voice, right? Which means so your relationship to it is you feel that voice is abusive, or is that why you give it the term bully?
Yeah, when I do inviting, when it comes to question, what do you protect me from?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what I find. Instead of I start reconciling with it, I start fighting with it. So
got it. Yeah. So let's zero it in on this particular aspect since it was fresh with you this morning, right? It's showing itself up. First, there's the feeling of I don't want to do anything. Everything feels meaningless, and then this voice comes in, which adds a layer of conflict and judgment about the fact that that's happening. Is that accurate to what you're describing?
exactly.
Okay. So let's start with what we're calling the bully voice, because that's now like a layer on top, right? So we can't even get to maybe why we don't feel like doing something, and maybe it's okay to do nothing as long as that kind of dialogue is happening. Whereas there's this thing that's saying you can't take the day off. And so let go for a moment of the idea of reconciling with this voice, because even that can have certain implications and create a fight, which is, you said, is what you're experiencing. And that often happens, right? I'm going to reconcile with this just becomes another, I'm going to release this, I'm going to let this go, I'm going to get over this. And really, you want that voice to stop. So experiment for a moment and just see if you have access to this, to do the exact opposite, which is let's let that aggressive voice saying you can't take the day off just have center stage. And if you feel like you can do that, go a little more into what it's saying. And if you can, feel into why it's so important, why it feels it needs to be that sort of aggressive coach. Why can't you take the day off?
It felt like the part of me that wants to not to do anything and wants to stay still is not coming from being lazy. It's coming from a stop and look back on, reflect on what I'm doing with my work.
Great.
And because the other voice is you need to send the email, there is the application, you need to fill, you will forget the deadline. So it keep going on. So I don't stop and get intuitive with my work and create something that I really want to create. So that's why then I feel so conflicted and then I can't function.
Right. So try this as a practice for right now. First, just take a deep breath. And I want you to experiment, because right now you're clearly able to step back from both of them and see the conflict and describe it. Right? This is doing this is doing this, and that's why I feel this way. The part that's saying we can't take a break, there's too much to do, we need to take a day off, right? I want you to see what happens if you allow yourself to turn your attention to that and actually feel that energy? Not the conflict, not the whole package, but see if you can, like, just like when I say put your attention on your right shoulder, just become more interested in that feeling. Right? See if you can put your attention on the voice and the feeling, that energy in the body that's saying, you can't take a day off. And describe to me what you feel, including, even if it's, oh, I can't put my attention on that. Just let me know what happens.
I start fighting with it.
Okay. So notice, pause there. You say, I start fighting with it, right? So you perceive that as a thing, and then there's I. Does that make sense?
I do.
That's super, super important, right? That's, we get into disowned, right? And so does it feel more accurate if I were to say, I want to work today? That feels more like me. I'm the artist. I want to do this. And there's this voice over here, and that's the bully. Meaning, does the one feel closer to me and the bully feels like more of a character over there?
To be honest with you, no. I feel like I have two of this with me. One that doesn't want to work and one that wants to, like, be responsible and do all this stuff that I don't like to do. And then
Right.
I, in this middle, I get stuck. I don't want to listen to none of those voices.
Okay. So it's a variation on that, right?
Yes.
You feel them as a part of you, but you feel like I'm in the center. And say it again, you don't particularly want to.
I don't want to identify with any of them, but it's there, so I'm fighting.
And there's, right, and that's exactly why we're experimenting to notice, okay, I can't actually take either side.
Yes.
Which, just to point out, is the opposite side of the same coin, right? So a lot of times the problem is we're so identified with one.
Yes.
And we're fighting with one. But now to say I can only be in the center and I can't go there and I can't listen to the other one, it creates the same result, which is to be stuck. Right?
Yes.
So staying in the middle, because that's where we are, right? What are you afraid would happen if you let yourself go to the other side a little bit and explore it?
I feel a stuck energy in my throat. It's like choking me. That's what I feel.
Do you feel that when you start to go in a direction, or is it just there?
No, when I start going.
Okay, perfect. So just back off, and that's good to notice that. And so now, without trying to go there, without looking to generate that feeling in the throat, you have a sense of something in the body, and you have a sense of this feeling of what happens when I try to kind of flow more freely, to get more in touch with these different parts, right? So just taking a deep breath into that throat in whatever way feels comfortable. You're not trying to force it to relax. You're just putting your attention there. And seeing if there's some, even if it's not outright choking you at this point, is there still some residual background kind of tension that's held there?
Now I move to my stomach.
Okay, good. So it's moving. Yeah. So keep following it in that case as it moves. Especially if, as you continue to take deep breaths, it kind of moves around. And you're just kind of staying interested in whatever it's doing. And then just letting me know where your body's at overall, what's happening.
Now move to my chest.
Good. And as you keep feeling it and you're feeling it move, just also be curious, see if there is anything else it's communicating to you. If any thoughts, feelings, images are coming up, or if it's just purely physical.
It feels like I do have some sort of fear there, but I can't describe it. I have no story for it. It's
Good.
just a sense.
Good. So that fear, for whatever reason, it's not randomly doing that. There's an association that if we start to explore this territory a little more, something bad could be happening. So just close your eyes and say to yourself or out loud, whichever you prefer, it's safer to be stuck in the middle. And see if that feels true.
It is.
Okay, good. So we have a feeling there that for whatever reason it may be, the past experience, the feeling of the whole situation is that it's actually safest to be kind of stuck versus today I'm going to explore this, today I'm going to explore that. And so that's very useful information, right? And now just staying with that, just becoming a little bit curious about it. And there's a couple different ways to approach these types of questions, but one way to explore it, and you're just seeing what comes up. It's not necessarily going to give you like a crystal clear answer, but just seeing what happens. Is there a time where I was maybe not in the middle, where I was taking different sides, moving around more freely, and did something bad happen, or was there a association that was not a good place to be?
Yes.
Okay. Does it give you any details? You don't necessarily have to share them, but
I got a job that I suffered with. It was a painful job.
Was there a particular motivation or reason for getting that job?
Money.
Yeah. Okay. So is there a fear that you would make a similar type of decision?
Yeah, that's my biggest fear.
Okay, great. So let's go with this line of feeling into it then. If I can maintain the ability to make those choices, to have that discernment to say, okay, I still don't want to take one of those jobs, and I'm clear on that. If I can maintain that, is there an amount, a little extra space I can move in one direction or the other while still maintaining that position? Do I have to be so tight and contracted, or is there a little space where I can still maintain my center? So think of it like lifting a 0.5 pound weight, right? Just like lowering the weight. Is there a way to create a little bit of space there where it says, I'm not going to overexert. I'm not going to go all in and make a decision I don't want to make.
That's so funny. I just want to laugh.
Good. So does that start to give you a sense of this feeling of it's not, you don't have to go all in. You don't have to
Yeah, I think that's it. So I promised myself to not get any job, and yet I'm doing some stuff, accepting some project that brings some money, but I don't want to do that. So I always tell myself, if you had the money, you wouldn't do this project, and the always answer is yes.
Good. Okay. So close your eyes again, and let's see where we... Can I still keep my boundaries and keep my artistic soul and move a little bit in this direction and do things at times for money or whatever this project is without it being black and white? And you want to actually feel around for that distance, that space that says, I don't have to necessarily go, okay, never again. I'm going to be 100% the pure ideal artist who never takes a gig unless it's like my dream gig, and say, that's the pure artist in you and me, right? I mean, you know what I do for a living. It's a constant conversation. So
yeah, I feel the relief.
Good.
Yeah, I feel lighter.
Good. And so go ahead and embrace that ideal, the artistic integrity, right? And now feeling into that, saying, is there an amount of movement I can have, of different options, different gigs I can take, different projects I can take, where I can still stay connected to who I am as an artist, but I can still do these. They fit within my boundaries. They fit within my what I will accept, what I will not accept. And experiment with the question of, would it be possible that creating a little bit more space could actually strengthen my ability to do my purely artistic projects? Because, okay, I could, I have 5 days a month where I can make some money, and then I can have 25 to actually be focused on my art, which would be pretty amazing, versus 30 days of contraction.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now bring it back to the center, and just feeling how you started the day, and seeing what's there. The sense of, is it more okay to relax today? Is the bully voice a little less? Just see.
It feels like I want to give a hug to myself.
Oh, even better. Go ahead and do that. Good. Yeah. Yep. We've all been there. I mean, those of us who are freelance artists for a living, where you get that money gig, and it's like, never again. And it can actually it can go far in the other extreme, where there becomes no freedom. And as you start to feel like, you're not going to lose that artistic soul if you do a couple things here and there. It's too powerful.
Thank you so much.
Sure. My pleasure. Let's see here. Okay, good.
So beautiful. Before we take one more, I guess we have time for another one.
Yeah, I think so.
I just wanted to point something out to anybody who's listening, and that is, notice that when Evan and I are working, we don't have an objective. We're not trying to get somebody to a particular place. This isn't goal oriented. It took me a while as I was developing all of this to really understand that these things that inhibit us and create these fears, like Roberto's sense of I'm not lovable, these are installed in us very early on and very deeply. It's not necessarily going to be one session of reconciliation and it's rainbows and unicorns from then on out. There can be layers to it, right? So I invite people into this work not like you're taking a pill or physical therapy and has a particular ending, but it really is a shift in your relationship to yourself that is ongoing. So it really becomes a lifetime thing because it is a relationship with you. It's a shift in the way you see yourself, in the way you engage with yourself. And when that shift takes place, the door is wide open for all of the deepest stuff to really come up and be dissolved. And it becomes just a matter, every day becomes really a quite enjoyable exploration of yourself. And because our lives are constantly changing, our relationships are changing, the things we experience are changing, there's always an opportunity for some aspect of you to come up that you didn't even know was there. And it may be free and open and ready to play, or it may have some constriction around it. But if that essential relationship has been established, something that comes up that is constricted or afraid is going to get all of your love and acceptance. And the resistance, you can get to the place where there's little to no resistance to what you're feeling. And that's really what I'm shooting for. So that you have the sense of inner resource that whatever does come up or whatever does occur in your life, you know you have the capacity to deal with it, because the truth is you do. So I just wanted to throw that in before we pick somebody up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So Marlo has her hand up. So let's bring her up. And as we do that, GP, if you want to just announce, I don't think we said anything about the upcoming course, which is why why we're here. So,
that's right. That's right.
I'll get that up on
we
the
want
screen,
we want to teach everybody how to do this, how to facilitate yourself, and it's also a primary training for people who would like to facilitate others, because there is a method to this. It took a while. I was just thinking while Evan was working with Nazarene that I had been working on this only about 5 years. So I've been at it for about 5 years when I met him. So it's very instrumental in the whole process. Matter of fact, I hadn't even named it Inner Reconciliation yet. We didn't have a name for it. And it took a while to develop it into a systematic way in which this could be taught and learned. Because for me, it just kind of evolved organically over like 50 years, literally 50 years, starting in the summer of 1971. And over time, it took me a long time to get all the details of this, understanding the nervous system, understanding the way people work, how conditioning happens, how we identify with that conditioning. And to finally be able to lay it down in a way that could be very easily digested and accepted. Because it's easy to experience, as you can see. It doesn't take much to turn inside and for a moment let go of your agenda and see the effect that has internally, and just the way your body responds, the way the nervous system acts, what happens to your emotions. That part's easy. But to kind of really understand the whole picture, to be able to artfully and masterfully work with yourself, and then of course, and then to work with others, because there's kind of this natural thing that happens is, you get happy, you want everybody else to be happy. It's kind of the nature of happiness. And so I've got a whole bunch of classes I've done about it. Evan and I have done a bunch of free videos on it, both of us individually and together. And this go round, we've really broken it down to make it simpler on all sorts of levels. So this is foundation for facilitating. Right? Before I tried to teach this thing, the first couple of times I tried to teach interreconciliation, it was extremely lengthy. I was trying to teach everything at the same time. But eventually I created the home study courses, which are available. And now we've put together this, which is new, for this foundation for facilitating, to focus on the experiential part of it, to give people lots of practice at doing it, at creating that inner environment. There's a little bit of EFT that I put in there, but I teach whole things about EFT in and of itself, because the reason the EFT works so well the way I do it is because of interreconciliation. So you can see it's up there on the screen, gpwalsh.com/IRFFF. There's just 3 of them. And that's got a little bit more about it. It's got some testimonials of people who have experienced it. And there's also the link there where you can sign up for the course. And if you don't have the level 1 of the home study course, it's included in the deal, so you can take it. So this is, as I said, this is the result of 50 years worth of spiritual inquiry. It started at a time when there wasn't much to be gotten. I mean, I had my initial experience, initiation into this world was before anybody had heard of Wayne Dyer or Deepak Chopra. Course of Miracles hadn't been written. It was very, very early on. And so just kind of slowly pulling everything together myself. And I simply don't want it to take anybody else 50 years. It doesn't have to. I've sifted through all of the stuff. So please join us as we walk you through it, both Evan and myself. And for most people, well, not for everyone who's ever experienced, they say it is profound and life-changing. And I say that with all humility, because it was for me. It just kind of took me out of the fight with myself and the constant drive to fix me, whether it be through meditation or through self-help or through ab reactions or men's work or all the various kinds of things I did, all with the underlying assumption there was something wrong with me, and if I just found the right tool, I could fix it. And it was a revelation when I discovered that there never was anything wrong with me. I was just taught to believe that there was. And this is kind of the heart and soul of the message that I want to deliver to you. So on that note, I'm going to let you work with Marlo.
Okay, great. We do have one more volunteer.
I love everybody. I do like everybody knowing that I'm not the only one who does this, and it can be learned. As you can see, Evan has gotten quite masterful at it, and he does it quite differently from me. So I like everybody seeing both sides to it. So on that note, the floor is yours.
Okay, very good. Marlo, how can we help you today?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it might be a little quiet. Just try talking a little more.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay. Okay, so this is not a new situation for me. GP has heard my story too. So I have this constant guilt that comes in. And I say constant, even though it's not on a daily basis, but it is something that is still with me after 16 years, whatever. But it's the way that I have raised my kids. And I can't think about their younger years, because then I get all, upset. You've heard some of this too. I get upset. I get very emotional. So I just think of something else, and I do, and then those emotions go away. I mean, they don't go away, but you know. And I've noticed for quite some time now that when I'm doing, you know, the courses or listening, or I hear something that is, you know, when you were a young kid, but it doesn't go to me. It goes, oh my gosh, that's how I'm treating my own kids. So it's almost, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like I'm here to help me so that I can, in the long run, be a better person for myself and for my kids. But every time I want to help me, it goes to my kids. I don't know if I'm making any sense in how I'm saying it.
Okay. So that's fine. Just with right where you are with this right now. My first question, and try to feel into this a little bit. So just take a moment to kind of breathe and connect to your body a little bit. If your kids are what come up when you go to do this work, why is that a problem? How do you know that's not what needs to come up? And just investigate that a little bit.
Well, I guess because everyone says that, you know, like you have to fix yourself in order to.
Okay, makes sense on a certain intellectual level, right? But
Right.
you go to ask a question, and that's what comes up from you, right?
Yeah.
Meaning, is your own system, is your own mind, your own emotions what show you the picture of the kids, or does something else say, oh, I need to think of my kids? Or is that just what arises?
It's what arises. Like they automatically, like I don't even have to, you know, if there's no hesitation, it's like, yeah, it comes up right away.
And where is it coming from? Is it coming from someone else, or is that coming up from inside of you?
Oh, that's coming out from inside of me, yeah.
So why, just ask the question, how is that not working on myself? Good. Because it's a very difficult place to start from, right? The moment there's a, oh, well, my kids are what showed up, and that's not, now I'm off track.
Mm-hmm.
If that is the right track, it's impossible to work, right? Because that's what comes up in it's actually something else. And you even said other people say you need to work on yourself. So the real answer that comes up is an image of my children. And it's actually something else that is using, oh, that's not supposed to come up. So just pausing there, bring up the picture, the image, the feeling, the familiar, the 14-year familiar thing with your kids, and invite that up and assume that that's where you need to go because that's what's coming up. And then let me know what happens.
I mean, I just want to sit here and cry. I mean,
Anything? Yeah. Nothing wrong with that, right? Have you let yourself do that yet?
No, like not. I mean, I did one day, but I think I had to shut I called you. And, you know, I mean, I shut myself down and I called you and, you know, we talked about it. And I, you know, I mean, it's because I think because I like shut it down again.
Mhm.
I mean, to discuss it and feel it, obviously are two different things. And so it's still here.
Well, and it makes sense that it's still here, right? Because the thing what it's trying to do is, my kids come up, that's what needs to come up, and then the feeling comes up is, we need to cry and let this out, right? If we don't let that happen, it'll be 14 more years, 20 more years, 25 more years, right? Because that's the solution. So slow down the process a bit, because we'll use this to make a broader, hopefully, shift in how you approach this work in general, right? So if you slow it down and kind of imagine you're watching a movie of yourself, right? Picture of your kids come up, which is actually coming from inside you. Then all the other stuff that's kind of come in from other sources, whether that's what other people have said or programming, say, I'm supposed to be working on myself, not my kids. And so that actually pulls away, but the kids keep coming up because that's where it needs to go. Right? So when you let yourself go there, the next thing that comes up is, I just want to sit and cry. And then something goes, well, but sit and cry, what is that? Right? That's no good. And so
yeah, because I
Mhm.
was going to say, yeah, because like once I start feeling that, I think it's guilt, or whatever emotion that starts to come up, it's usually when I'm working, because I kind of work alone, or right
Mhm.
before I go to bed. Because I'm not going to sit there and deal with my emotions at work when there are other people there. I just work by myself, alone in an environment. Or when I'm going to sleep because I want to go to sleep. So I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, it's fine. So that's the actual process, though, right? What comes up is what's needed. First, the kids come up, then the feeling of if I need to cry is what comes up. And so if you argue against that on any level, then of course it just keeps coming. That's actually the clue for me that that's what's needed, because it keeps coming up even for years, right? And don't ask me how this all works on a bigger level, but our bodies and emotions, they just seem to work this way, right? If something hurts here and your posture is contributing, it's just going to keep hurting, right? And the moment you fix it, maybe not instant, but like in other words, the part of your body will not stop playing. It's like my shoulder. Well, my shoulders hurt for 10 years. My shoulders hurt for 20 years. It's going to keep doing that, right? Because that's the part of the body that needs some attention, and it needs kind of whatever it needs, not what we think it needs. Boy, have I made my mistakes. Like, oh, well, I guess I need to strengthen it. No, that's just, I watched a YouTube video that told me that. Now I'm worse, right? And so that's using this to kind of point to that pattern. I need to cry. What you want to practice is the trust of, how do I know this is right? Because it's coming up. Right? So we can go ahead and go back to letting the picture of the kids come up. And then if what comes up is, I need to sit and cry, we can pause, we can just sort of let you go and let you do that. Or if it comes up that there's a way to the next thing is something you want to interact with a little more, that's fine. But if the feeling is, I need to just sit here and have a good cry, and I understand if you don't want to do that on YouTube, all good.
Right. Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. I think, and I don't know if I'm on the right path with this, but I think, yeah, I do need to cry, even if it's like 5 nights in a row or whatever the situation is. And then I guess see what comes up after that? I mean, is that
That's the
process of
only thing. That's the only thing I've ever found that you can do. Because if you need to cry for 5 days, and that would be pretty fast, right? I mean, you're talking about so far 14 years of an issue, right? So 5 days of crying would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm just I'm just saying, you know, a random number, yeah.
Well, but we do want to notice that, because that comes up over and over again in this work. And, you know, I have lots of intense opinions about that I've shared, where we are not served very well by the kind of, perhaps it's a modern thing, I don't know, I'm not that educated about it, but this type of work, for some reason, it's all about like the miracle session, right? And I've had a few GPs facilitated some of them with me, but he can tell you, I mean, we've lived together, like some of my stuff is years. It improves, but everything else in my life took a long time. I mean, it was, you know, I still practice quarter notes playing the bass, and I've been doing that for 20 years. So just letting yourself look at it like this, like, yeah, it takes what it takes. But the main thing is, if I'm moving down the path of what's following the answer that comes up inside of me, right? Which is, okay, I need to cry. As long as you're following what's coming up, and then you can at least have the confidence that I'm moving in a direction, and we never know how long it will take, because sometimes it seems like, oh, this is going to be a big one, and it just disappears. And then I've had ones that seem like, well, as far as my mind is concerned, this should be kind of a small issue, but it keeps gnawing at me for many sessions in a row, and then it's finally starts to unwind. So using that as a process to go, okay, you want to notice the movement. Have I just moved away from the answer that rose up inside me to some opinion about it? Does that make sense?
I think so.
So
yeah,
the way to observe that is everything that comes after the feeling I want to cry, right? Everything after that is the interpretation.
Okay, yeah, I think I was going to ask you about that is, you know, when those images or thoughts come up, where obviously then the emotions for me come up and I want to cry, how, like sometimes or actually, are you telling me or suggesting that I like hold the images in my mind, because that's what triggers me. That's what brings up the emotion. But I've heard too that like you just want to feel it. You don't want to be up in your mind. You want to feel it. But I don't know if I'm accurate on this, but it's almost like, well, I have to think about it in order to feel it. Do you know what I mean?
It's just not, it's not even what you've described. That's all you have to pay attention to. Is at no point did we have to hold an image. Like we just went through it, right?
Oh, okay.
You what comes up? A picture of my kids. And I didn't say hold the image of your kids.
Right.
It just happened. And then all I did was ask, what's the next thing? A feeling that I want to cry. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's all it is the feeling of I want to cry. And then the distinction is you stay with it and it unravels. So when at the moment, all we did was go from picture of my kids comes up. And that's all it took to go into the mind and say, well, but it's not supposed to be my kids, right? So we started the process. Well, how do we know it's not supposed to be your kids? We didn't try to hold it. We didn't manipulate it. We just simply said, what if what's coming up is right? And then it was, what's the next thing? Next thing is a feeling I want to cry. But sort of described in a way like, I just want to cry. Like, what, assume, okay, that's right. But that doesn't mean now, okay, so that means I need to sit and cry. It just means, okay, so I want to sit and cry. Okay, sitting with that feeling. If you cry next, that's right. If the next thing comes up is another thing, but it will, with the practice is the fact that it keeps going, right? It's like, it's improv comedy, it's improvising music, and that's the value of doing those types of things and living like that. I'm a jazz musician for a living, for those who don't know. So, the moment you go, hey, wait a minute, now you've screwed up. The flow has stopped, right? So it's, there's that. I feel like I want to cry. Okay, yes, and improv comedy, right? Somebody says something, okay, this feeling I want to cry. The moment we're like, well, is that right? And but GP said now we've lost connection to what's unfolding. So for you, the practice is to just notice the moment the next thing comes up, the impulse to go, well, is this right? And you can, if there is a technique, in your case, I would experiment with, is to actually try that. Okay, yes, this is right. To kind of just, because your mind is going to go, well, is this right? And but this spiritual teacher says this, but then this person says that. It's like, they could all be right, they could all be wrong, as far as what you need next.
Right.
So you just say, yes, feeling I want to cry. Okay, that's what's right. Next, when I lean into that, where does it take me next? And then when you feel like it's just stuck and you can't get out of it, that's why like I said, I get facilitated every week, right?
Okay. So it's like, what I'm hearing too also is allow what comes up, allow it, and just keep with it, lean into it, and like let it flow. Yeah. And right, because in your case, the very first thing that came up was like, well, no, but it doesn't. I mean, it could be, for every time I sit down, a pink elephant comes up first. Like, none of this stuff makes a lot of sense half the time. And you get used to that. You get used to that more and more, because it's always, it's like a stream at the top of the mountain. It's always going the right place in the end. It's like, yeah, but I wanted to work on money today. Why does my aunt keep showing up or something? The moment you go, well, she has nothing to do with money, or this is off track. Now it's gonna stop. But if you just go, okay, wow, what's she doing here? It takes you there.
Okay. I appreciate
Makes sense?
It does. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's great. That was really good. Yeah, and I wanted to point out to folks that pretty much this is what we're going to be doing for 8 weeks. There'll be some teaching in there, and maybe stopping more often to point things out, because we're trying to teach you how to facilitate. But it's going to be this kind of depth of inner work, sorting out, like that idea that an idea gets in there that I shouldn't be in my mind. Okay? And then all of a sudden, the way we work, any picture that comes to the mind suddenly becomes, I shouldn't be thinking that. Right? But in fact, it isn't that the mind isn't involved in this. What we're looking for is to stay with what's organically happening as a bit, in distinction with the mind's commentary about it. Right? And anytime the mind tries to make an interpretation, to question or to kind of inhibit you from just staying present with whatever's there, including an image of your kids. And of course, you're their mother. Of course, they're going to be there. And there's going to be emotional response to that. Any attempt to try to diminish that or pull you away from that, you can be sure, is the mind trying to avoid going more deeply into this. It is so simple to grasp, and yet it's so hard to do in practice that no matter what comes up, you go with it. And that is, I used to, a long time ago, I did some classes on improvisational comedy, and that was just rule number one: never say no. No matter how weird the line you just got fed from the other person, you never say no. You just pick up and go with it. So this is, can you see that this is the most gentle kind of work you could possibly do? Nothing is denied. Nothing is off limits. Nothing is verboten. Okay? And I did have one time in my life when something really severe came up, something from deep in my childhood, and I was in my 40s at the time, and I literally cried for 5 days. I mean, I had some things I had to do. I'd go out and do them. I'd go back home, and it was, straight. I mean, I'd cry myself to sleep. I'd wake up in the morning. It took 5 days for that energy to finally get itself, to work itself out of my body and set me free. But that's what it took, right? By that time, I had learned you just let it happen, right? Whereas before, I'd always put it off. I tried to do some kind of spiritual technique or some idea that would kind of diminish it in some way. And I finally got it, no, just let it be there. And I did. And boy, and see some of the contortions my body went in. I found myself sitting upside down on the couch, and it was just incredible amount of energy. But it was an incredibly deep trauma that was working its way through, that had been inhibiting my entire life and every single one of my relationships. So it was not a small thing. And it took all that time of my own spiritual growth, 20 years after my first experience, before I was finally ready to be able to allow that to process. So you can see it is the most gentle approach. There is no forcing of anything. There's no denial of anything. There's no criticizing of anything. It is, at its essence, its nature is simply unconditional love. And unconditional love is not this, fine china you put on the shelf and bring down every now and then. It's very gritty and very earthy. It means an acceptance of what is here right now, and as you are right now. So with that, again, let me invite you all to come hang out with us for 8 weeks. It'll be quite open. There'll be at least 8 extensive calls that will go longer than this. Probably a few others thrown in for good measure. A private email for you all to get questions answered from Evan and I, which we will do either directly or maybe make a video about it that will be posted if the question looks like it's general enough for everybody. There'll be opportunities for everyone to work, and our hope is that in addition to learning how to facilitate this process better for you, master it for yourself, and help others do the same, will also relieve you of a whole lot of suffering that you may have been carrying around for a while. So on that note, if you want to put the little screen up for people to register.
And I don't think it says it anywhere here, but it starts Monday. So
yes.
If you want to join, I recommend doing it soon.
Yes. The first live group call will be Thursday, but starting on Monday, there's already a video out there waiting for you as soon as I open it up, and I've got a couple I'm going to add, and a few other little goodies that'll be there on Monday to help kind of bring you into the energy, as well as that 7-part introductory video, which is there for posterity as well, which is available to anybody. It's free. It's out on YouTube. an introduction to reconciliation, just called "End Suffering, Be Happy." So please join us. We would love to have you.
And just take a look at that message in the chat, GP, and let's see where we're at.
Let's we can let it go for now.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So yeah, great. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here today.
But
Sorry we couldn't work with every volunteer.
There was one question about the training. Will we have the opportunity to facilitate others? Absolutely. We will be doing it. We might even do some where Evan and or I may comment on how you do it. But one of the key things of this is that everybody will have everybody's contact information. Mm-hmm. So that you can set up times, a lot of different time zones represented, right? So you'll find people to be able to work with. But I ask that everybody make time to facilitate and be facilitated at least once during the week. But there's no limit. You can do it as much as you want. And Penny, who is in the class and also a graduate of my EFT class, will also be doing she has her own Zoom account that she will be once a week just opening it up for whoever wants to show up and work. So there will be plenty of opportunity to work with others and to have your self work done. And we'll be showing you how to do it, and you'll become masterful at it, which is the whole point.
Excellent. Yeah, and just to be clear for those who are looking at this, you don't, for this particular one, it's a lot of training, it's a lot of working on the calls. You don't have to, nor are you expected to actually want to facilitate other people. So it's not, the calls are not going to be like, okay, now you facilitate this person, and that's going to be later for the people that actually really want to do that. Because that's also part of why we separated this, because we've had a lot of requests over the years say like, oh, I want to be part of the training course, but I don't want to be facilitating other people, and I don't want to be put in the hot seat doing that. So that will be sort of delineated to a separate time. So you are completely welcome to take part of this and kind of hang out, watch, absorb it all, work with people privately, experiment with it, but you will not be forced to be facilitating other people and go through a certification process or anything. That's kind of why this is the foundation course. It's just a time to absorb all of that, spend a lot of time immersed in that universe. And then if you want to get training and just sit with us and be like, okay, now I'm going to facilitate this person and we're going to break down what you're doing and all of that stuff, that's for later. So don't feel that you don't want to join this because you're afraid of that, which has happened in the past. It's completely separated out this time. Will there be a replay on next Thursday's class? Everything we ever do, ever, will always be a replay. Anyone who takes part in any of our classes, if you can't ever be there live, which is often the case for many people, unless we screw up by forgetting to press record or something, which has maybe only happened once or twice in probably hundreds of times. We would never
2,000 videos now. I saw on Vimeo, 1,998 videos over the 10 years, and I think once or twice it'd be 2,000, but there were the 2 times we forgot to hit record.
So you'll get part of everything. So I'll put that screen up one last time and let it marinate on the screen for a bit. So everything opens Monday as far as the content. There's recorded stuff. You get the level 1 course if you don't already have it. I have recorded a series of videos just for this program, which is pretty digestible and just focuses on these one or two aspects and how to practice this, and how to practice it with other people in your life without actually facilitating. So I've recorded some of the exercises, for example, talking about things like, okay, next time you're watching the news or next time you're talking to another person, notice your tendency to do this. Watch your the way you go to this and how you start thinking about what to say next. So there's a lot of, you're actually building a foundation for facilitating and interacting with other people in this way. So it should be fun. Like I said, I'll leave the screen up for a little bit, and I don't see any other questions about the course. If you have questions just for GP or interreconciliation in general, he's also going to be live again on Sunday at his usual time on 3 p.m. where he is happy to field questions about the course or anything else.
Or anything else, yes. And I will be doing, actually, I'm just going to open it up, I think, tomorrow and probably Monday, just for questions. I'll just set up a Zoom. I'll just email everybody on my list. They can just kind of drop in. I'll probably do them at 2 different times, so I can make sure I get any questions that there might be. So I'd like to get everybody in, because we definitely, after next week, catch up will get kind of hard. So we want to get everybody signed up by this coming week at the latest.
Yes, exactly. So any burning questions, let us know. Leave it as a comment, email it to GP, and we will make sure we get to that. All right, that's everything I can think of from my end. How about you, GP?
Now, just quickly looking through the comments on YouTube, because we don't see those here, to just see if there's anything. First, I find it difficult to bring things up to identify and work with. I know I have issues, of course, but is there a way to bring the hidden issues to the surface in order to generate these emotions? Oh, this is such a good one. It's so clever. The fact that you can't bring them up is the clue.
Right. That's what's coming.
That's what you stay with. The mind's going to go, oh, nothing's coming up. What do I do? Right. And it's now invented a block. There isn't one. It's like, oh, there's resistance to even bringing something up. All right, I'm going to just stay with that. And just keep looking into this place that doesn't seem to want to reveal itself. That's it. I mean, this is mind-numbingly simple, right? What you really grasp, but whatever is there is what you work with. I experience it all the time with people. I say, I don't know what I want. Okay, so let's just be with not knowing what you want. Yeah, but I have to know what I want or I can't manifest it. No, you don't. Just, this is what is here. This is the whole, it's just, Eckhart Tolle would be proud. It's just now. It's just what's here now. Right? That's all you have to deal with. So just stay with that feeling that it's difficult to bring something up. Make that okay. And see what happens. Somebody else said, yes, if something is going good, I feel like I'm waiting for something to go wrong. Wonderful. Stay with that. Oh, fear of, and then added a fear of abandonment. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Oh, I know that feeling well. Because in my life, when I was a child, it was real. I really could not let myself feel good, because then I wouldn't be vigilant and I would get slammed. It was a fact, right? And because it was a fact, my nervous system just got to the point where it said, yep, we better prepare for this. And I've been doing this for 50 years, right? And I mean, I still, even like, I think last week or something, I was just, I'm walking around my apartment here, I'm singing, I'm happy, and the little voice says, better not be so happy. Right? It's like, something could go wrong. So, these things will last as long as they last. There's no there's no expiration date on this stuff. A lot of people were praising Roberto for sharing. It resonated with all of us. Yeah, Tatiana said, we assume I am not lovable. What does it protect us from? In general, what limiting beliefs are protecting us from? Please elaborate. Thank you, GP. The idea, the assumption I am not lovable, right, is protecting you from, if you're really not lovable, not acceptable, not valuable, you die. This is the fear, right? And so the nervous system now, in a very clever way, presents you to the environment in a form that will get what it needs from the tribe, the family, whatever, which is what is associated with love and survival. And so it's protecting you from dying. And it does not want to actually reveal to you that, in fact, you are not lovable. That's its assumption. But the truth is you are. You were taught to not believe you were. And because it was a belief so strong, that it was a conviction, an assumption, it's trying to hide it from you. Okay. And then it will set you on the path of trying to compensate for that, proving that you're valuable by the decisions you make, the things you accomplish, any of that. All of this stuff, all of this success, right? Attainments, whatever it might be, are all an attempt to prove that I am valuable, therefore worthy of surviving. Right? It's very, very subtle at this level, and it can take a while to truly understand it, because it seems almost contrary. But in fact, the underlying nature of you is what I call original innocence. It's absolutely pure and perfect. But because in its the essential nature of your individual character, it was not accepted as pure and beautiful and perfect to the environment, the real you, the absolutely perfect you, gets buried away. So that it doesn't come out, because when it comes out, the environment hurts you. And so it, in the most clever turn of things, hides the real you and presents a false version of you to the environment. That false version of you, you later come to believe is you. And this is how the real you gets so well hidden. And it's going back through that belief of who you think you are, and all the layers that the whole system is set up to keep that in place, right? To finally penetrate that, to get back to the real you, which is imminently lovable and perfect and beautiful. But that path can take a while, because the whole nervous system believes that if that is found, you're going to get hurt. You're going to die, because it's not acceptable. It's brilliant. It's strange. and this is what we want to, this is the territory we're going to show you how to traverse. It's also incredibly fun. So, yeah, that was from Tatiana. Hugs to Roberto. Everybody, thanks for being so brave to share. Roberto, little by little, you're going to be able to take in the evidence, and you can see it all here. You are incredibly loved. And nobody here gives a shit that you lost money on in the stock market. I have too, by the way. So let's see. Perfect course, so simple. Yeah, struggle with ages. Okay. And for those of you who are part of the IFF, who are already here, Evan is going to hang out for a little bit to work with anybody who wants to. But I'm going to go off live from YouTube, and I am going to go off live because I have some other things that I have to get to.
So thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate you being live with us today. I'm going to jump on to the other channel if you want to. It's in the chat, and we will hopefully see you inside the course. If not, you'll hang out with GP on Sunday